Greetings, pilgrims, and welcome to another episode of the Polygon Pilgrimage, and today we are beginning on a much requested feature. Yes, you're seeing things correctly. We're going to talk about how to create a battle pass, similar to the one in Fortnite. As you can see here, this is based upon the Fortnite battle pass as of, I believe, Season 7. I haven't played in a little bit, to be honest. I've been a little busy, making lots of things. So I want to show you how I broke this down, how we've got it all structured here. I'm going to show you a lot of the stuff inside of Photoshop, how to create all of this. So let's go ahead and get started, okay? So here we are in Photoshop, and of course, take a little screenshot of, yes, my wimpy little character, very, very low level. But the structure here is what we're looking at, and really the battle pass is broken up into a couple of major points. Let's take a look here. So if I unhide some of these objects, you'll see basically it's this whole section here is what we're dealing with. And this area in here is going to slide back and forth. So the area that these two are concerned with will slide back and forth, and we'll mask this off. All of that with the code is coming in the next episode, maybe 2 more episodes. Today we're just going to talk about the visuals and breaking down the visuals for you, okay? So then of course we have what I'm calling the standard pass, which is this top section here. And then we have the battle pass, which is this part down here. And of course, as you all know, or in case you are not familiar, the way it works is as you progress through levels with your character and XP, you will gain these little tiers up here, these little rewards here. So I'm currently on tier 7, which means I have all of these that you see here. But I have not currently purchased the battle pass in this image. So what that means is I'm only going to get these rewards. Now, every time I unlock a tier, it unlocks the possibility of having these. But as you can see, all the locked icons because the battle pass is locked. And then the concept is at any point I purchase the battle pass, it unlocks all of the stuff for which I have unlocked the appropriate tier. Okay? So if I get all the way to 100 and then I suddenly buy it, I get everything down here all the way to 100. But if only at 50, I only get all the way to 50, and then from there, once I hit 51, I'll get both of the items in this column right away. Okay? So that's how we started with all this, and then I broke it down into lots and lots of little pieces for you. And I want to show you kind of briefly how I went about doing some of this stuff in Photoshop, and then we'll talk about the structure of it inside of Unity itself. So let's go ahead and open our files here. So I'm just going to browse through my project history real quick. Go to Projects, Battle Royale, Fortnite, Battle Pass, and here I've got it broken down into the PSD files are in their own folder, and then the raw image files here, these are the ones that just you can throw right into Unity, and I've already done so. We're going to talk about all these pieces really quickly. I think they turned out great, and so we're going to break it all down for you. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look. So we've got several different objects here, and as you can see, each of these is a different breakdown of the total object. So we've got the background as its own object, as you can see here. The background all by itself. We have the labels. The breakdown, this breakdown object, I left this in here. This is my scratch work. We'll look at that too, and that's everything, but we'll come back to that. The current tier is up here in the corner. Our progression, so this progression is right here. All right, and master just means it's the master file. The lock and unlock, the major and minor rewards. This is a sizes object, and we'll talk about that in a moment too. Standard pass label is this guy here. And you have the battle pass label as well. Where did he go? Up here. We already saw him. Okay. The tier sizes is a copy of this, so ignore that. Tier 1 master, and then tier 2 through N. N meaning we don't know what number it's going to be yet. And then our emblem master. Okay? So, of course, the emblem is the fanciest and shiniest, so let's start with that. So the emblem turned out great. As you can see, it looks awesome, and we have gold and silver. I left my little scratch paperwork here to show you kind of how I got to this point. So I brought in my reference image from Fortnite, obviously, and what I wanted to do is I needed to create this curved object with the cutouts, and then of course the star and the little shape here around it. Those shapes are pretty easy. So first shape here is just to create a shape. So I did that by doing this. We're going to go to a new layer and say, just select some stuff, and I'm going to click some points here. So there, 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 there. So I'm just polygon selecting a shape, and I'm just roughly following the shape that's already there. It's not going to be precise. There we go. Boom. Then go to your brush tool, and I'm going to fill in with white. Okay. Fill it all in with white. Perfect. Very, very simple, very easy. Then we're just going to add to that the ability to have some depth to it and to have that rigid embossing. We'll see that in just a moment, okay? So the other side, I did the same thing for the center fill, and that gave me my overall shape, okay? So essentially, one of these, we're going to duplicate it to the other side. We'll see that up here in a moment, so I'm not going to do too much of it here because we've got a lot to get through. So we're just going to duplicate that to the other side, so let's deselect that. So those two all set. Now, to start cutting out this shape, essentially it's multiple spheres or circles because it's 2D. So you see I get this curve going on right here. So I've just made a circle that is big enough that this curve goes along here. Second curve, as you can see, I moved it so it gets along this curve here. And then essentially I'm just going to select the two and select the inverse of the two. As you can see here, then I just make a selection with the marquee again to cut out the triangle parts. So by taking this selection and then subtracting from that this selection, and then subtracting from that this selection, I'm left with these pieces in the middle, and of course a little bit of excess on the ends here, no big deal. I'm going to just go to my brush tool, and I'm just only going to paint in the areas that I'm interested in. So right in here, like so. There we go. So now if we get rid of our selection and hide all the other objects, look what we made. We made that shape nice and easy, okay? So I'll leave that scratch paper in there so you can take a look at it. Let's go to our silver object here. So the laurels are these things on the bottom, and they're made very simply the way we just looked at. And then the bands here, I just made more shapes and put them on top, and those are with an opacity of 25, and they are black. So then you can determine how much you want them to be. So you can go real subtle with it, or like solid black, whatever you want. But by default in the file, they're at 25%. Now, the real magic of this whole thing is the embossing, right? So the embossing here is nothing more than bevel and emboss in our effects here. So let's take a look at our effects. They're very simple. Drop shadow, just for a little bit of drop shadowing. And again, you'll be able to look at all of this in the file, so I'm just going to do a brief overview. An outer glow to also add a little bit of a haze around it. The bevel and emboss, this is the magic sauce here. So every single part of the emblems have this exact same settings. The inner bevel, the hard chisel, 100% depth, up, 55 on the sides so we get that really nice crisp point, and a little bit of softness too, just to get rid of some of the banding in the middle. But the shading and the angle are what give us this soft look to it. So a 90-degree angle straight up and down, and then a 48-degree for the altitude. And there you go. It's as simple as that. A little bit of a gradient overlay, just to kind of a little bit of softness at the bottom here. And there we go. We're all set. So that's how the laurels work. And of course the frame and the star are very similar. As you can see, the star is nothing more than just those settings. So it's just a white star with these settings applied. If I turn those off, you see it goes solid white. That's all there is to it. The background's even easier. The background is just white with a gradient applied. So there you go. And then the frame, again, same thing. We just apply our effects here. So like you see, here's that white shape that I cut out. Nice and easy. Okay. So then the gold is a little bit more complicated. So the gold, as you can see, we've got some extra bits here. We got multiple laurels, all that kind of stuff. So the gold laurels, essentially, I did the same laurels twice. So as you can see here, it's just another set of laurels that have then been rotated into place. No big deal there. Now for this top part, you can see here that it's the gold star with the gold frame and the background. But you can see this little part here, add frame mask. I left this in to show you. If we take a look at this here, and I select this and do select. So I selected more here by just creating another shape like we did with the first one. And I happen to color it the gold color here, but that doesn't really matter. But what I did was I wasn't happy with these little punch outs here. So I got rid of those because it didn't really match the concept and I wasn't really happy with it. But by using these, I just went back to my gold frame and added to it. So for example, if we go ahead and hide this, you can see how I still have the selection going and it's got all my points. But let's say we wanted to bring these back for some reason, right? All I'm going to do is go to my gold frame here and I'm going to here and then just paint them in. Actually, I need to do that as white. So let's do that backwards. There we go, as white. And it should pick up the same thing. Here we go. Frame mask. Oh, no. So this is why the color is important for here. The other one I was doing a color overlay, but for this one you can't do the color overlay. So let's go ahead and pick this color. Right there. Color picker. Okay, we gotta turn off the effects so we can choose our color for a quick second. Here we go. Boop. Very good. Turn back on our effects, and now when we paint and add to it. There we go. It updates in real time. And now we could, if we wanted to, save this out and have those little jabs there. I mean, it's up to you. I didn't keep them because they weren't with the concept, so I wasn't interested in that. All right, let's take a look at some of other files we got here. We'll take a look at our major and minor rewards, our standard pass, and our tier and masterpieces, okay? So we got a lot of files to go through here. Okay, very cool. So the emblems we're done with. Let's say goodbye to those. Now, the major and minor rewards are both done in a similar fashion, so we'll just look at one for right now. And ignore all these lines. These are from all of my settings. I can actually get rid of them. We can actually show the guides, get rid of this. So, very simple. We have a section here that is for the lock position, and we'll see that when we get into Unity. But this is to give us a positioning guide for the lock and unlock icons. Essentially, this is two parts, a frame and a background. You'll see this a lot. This is a lot of what we did here. It's just a frame and a background, okay? So the background is just white with some effects, an inner glow, and then a gradient overlay. And the gradient is what actually has the coloring in here. So if you wanted to change the colors of this to fit your game, or if you have a different opinion, you can just go ahead and change the different colors in there. No big deal. Now, for the frame, it's the same thing, just color overlay, gradient overlay. So it's just one on top of the other. And I made the frame by creating a square or a rectangular marquee. So something like this. And then you just do, a subtraction and say, where do you want the subtraction? Like that. Paint white and then apply the effects. Very simple, okay? So that's how this is done, and the same thing is done for the minor reward, as you can see. Same kind of thing. We have frame and background. And then the unlock lock, this is just to tell us where to put those icons. And again, we'll see that in just a little bit. All right, we're moving right along. So these guys are done, and all of this is in the download for you guys. So everything you're seeing here is going to be in the download for you. No problem, okay? All right, so our standard pass label. So I put the icon in here just so you can see it where it would be, and when we save it, it can go to it. It also has the ability to not have it in there. So if you wanted to have it at a different position, or if you wanted to move it off entirely, you could do something really cool like this and do like a half and half, or make it real big, or put it up in the corner, whatever you want. I just put it here for you, no big deal. Same thing, we got a frame and we have a backdrop here. Now these were colored. That was a mistake on my part, but you can fix it by just doing the same thing. So let me show you how to fix it, okay? So what we're gonna do here is change your colors back to black and white. I'm gonna go to black, and I'm gonna select the color that it currently is, okay? Now, I'm gonna go and say, add a color overlay, and I'm gonna choose that color I just chose, which seems kind of stupid, right? I'm overlaying the same color, but now what I'm going to do is select it, and I'm going to go to white and paintbrush. And now it won't look like anything, but I just painted all that white. Okay, I turn off the effects. It's white, turn on the effects. It's the color you chose. The reason that's important, and if I remember, I will save this. Actually, you know what? I'll just save it now. There you go. It'll be part of the pack now. There you go. The reason that's important is you can go in here and change this color to any color you want. Now it defaults to this like hideous red. So if you want to do that, there you go. You got your hideous red. So you can change it to anything you want. Very good. So that's all done, and the emblem is literally just a flattened image copy of the emblem we just saw brought into here. Okay? So there we go. So this guy's all set. I will save it again, make sure it's part of the zip file that I create for you guys. All right. So we're starting to get into our tiers and our breakdown of the different tiers. So I did a bunch of math, and I figured out that there's two different combinations of tier layout we can do here. The first layout has like tier 1 is like a wider, like a fat tier, and then every other tier is the same size. Or we can just do skinny tiers the whole way through, right? So if you look at number 1 here, let's go ahead and turn off our guides. There we go. So you can see there's some background here that's been ignored, and that's on purpose because these are all sized to fit, and they're sized to fit in here, and that way we can just see the background behind it. So whatever background you have, my background happens to be a solid color, but if you got some crazy pattern, we'll actually see it through there, which is pretty cool. All right, so this is broken down in 3 sections. The tier 1 battle pass is this bottom part. The tier 1 standard pass is this part, and this part I just called top is just where we have the number. Okay, so again, these guys are pretty simple, frame and background, frame and background. There's also these objects in here that are hidden by default. And I have 2 different copies of the file saved, and we'll take a look at that in a moment. The reward placement guide. And what this is this will show you how you can place rewards in these tier backgrounds so that they're perfectly aligned and they've been properly spaced and all that. The way this works is you see this top whitish color, that's for a minor reward. And then there's a continuation of that shape. If you were to just continue to draw this line down, this darker area, if you combine these two mentally in your mind, you see how I have this big rectangle? Well, that happens to be the exact size of a major reward. So that's how that works. So minor is white, major is white plus this bottom color. You got it. You're smart. You'll figure it out from there. So that's that, and then there's one for the bottom as well. This one's a little bit more complicated because there's a couple different variants. So follow me. This color up here is a minor reward. This color here, plus this band, that's a minor reward as well. The white and this here is a minor reward. And then this this plus this white plus this is a major reward. See how that works? Or you can do a major reward, or a minor reward rather, and a major down at the bottom here. And we'll go over all that when we get into Unity as well. But just know that these are here. You can hide and unhide them. And I've already saved you a copy with and without them. Okay? Very good. Say no, we don't want to disturb that. We've already looked at this guy. We don't need to see him. All right, let's take a quick look at some of the other things we've done here. The sizes. Yes, we'll talk about the sizes in a moment. Those are all done. That's done. The level unlocked. This guy, we can talk about that a little bit. No big deal there. Let's talk about the label and the sizes. And then we'll jump into Unity. So here's the sizes. And again, I've already saved this file out for you as well. But this is the 2 permutations, if you will, that I was talking about. So the first one here is we have the big one here, and then we have little, right? Or if I hide the big one is actually 2 little ones. So you can have 8 or 1 and 7 more, or 1 and 6 more. Yeah, so 7 total or 8 total. So doing that math, you end up with 35 pages, I think, of rewards if you do it this way. And then a little bit extra space at the end. I think it's like 3 rewards worth of space, which is fine, because then what you could have is some text or some, teaser image that says like season whatever coming soon, that kind of thing. So that'd be pretty cool. So these are just all laid out for you so you can see each one. But again, we'll see that in just a moment. So let's close that. Okay, finally, let's talk about this guy, the Battle Pass label, because he's pretty cool too. Let's go show, turn off the guides. Okay. So I put the emblem in here just for show. And then again, he is a frame and a background as well. And then I put the number here. Now, I want to talk about this because the number is a solid color. And what I recommend is you can't really achieve this too well inside of Unity. This is a trick that's better suited for doing this inside of Photoshop. So what I recommend is this is a certain color, as you can see up here, right? A certain color and certain font. You figure out what you like and set it here. Make sure that color is at the bottom here. And then for your background here, the gradient is a very specific gradient that goes from that color to some complementary color in the middle, and it helps to sell this like fade off effect. Okay, so that's done like this with this custom gradient, which looks like this. These guys are at 15 and 80. Okay, and then the angle here is set to 90 degrees, so it goes up and down, 100% scale, so 100% from here to here. And that looks great, okay? So again, other than that, he's essentially a frame and a background and a number. But that's a trick that you have to do inside of Photoshop. Okay, enough gabbing about all of this. Let's go take a look at Unity and see the amazing work that we've done here. So, looks pretty good, right? And there's a few more pieces I didn't talk about, like this tier progression. I'll talk about that in a second. But here's all of our pieces, and I'm happy to announce that I got the thing working here with the prefab. So if I go to File, New Scene, entirely new scene, and here's my Battle Pass and just drop it, it works. Okay? Boom. So thank you for the comments. Yes, I did figure out I was missing the event system, which makes this all work. So we're all good now, okay? All right. So let's start to take a look at these. So if we just go top to bottom here maybe. So our background object is back there. You can see it's just this here, cut out. See the cutout here? Now, a quick note on all of the images here. So every single image I've brought in, these are the settings that I put for it. So when you drag and drop them into your project, do that first. Do what I'm about to do. then bring in the prefab and drag and drop it into your scene, and you should be all set. First, bring in the objects. There we go. And then all the images, rather, select all of them. And you're going to go up here and choose Sprite, 2D, and UI. We're going to come down here under Filter Mode, choose Point. That means it'll do all the way down to the absolute per pixel. We won't get any of that blurring or blending. Then down here under Compression, I just set it to none. I'd say I want no compression, which means when I zoom in really, really far here, you can see here that these are perfect. It ends right there where this color begins. Without that, you get this kind of bending around the corners because it's trying to filter or kind of blur those little corners. So we don't want that. For UI design, we don't want that. Okay, cool. So once you've done that and you've brought all the images in and done that, then bring in your prefab here, drag and drop, and you should have exactly what you see here, okay? Nice. Now, so the tier level progression is this guy up here. And he's made up of a couple different layers here. And you don't need all of them, but I wanted to show them all to you. So the dividers are just these little spaces in between the different colors. So it's here, 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 and not on the two ends. And it's very subtle. You might not even be able to see it. It depends on how good the video picks up. So you don't really need those, but that's part of the concept that I was copying from, so I wanted to make sure that's in there. The frame you do need, as you can see. The frame is that outer portion. The fill is this solid color in the background. Now the fill is mostly you just want to take the color, or you can choose any color you like. But if you use this one, you could apply some scripts to it. And by applying the scripts to it, you can do things like changing the values here. So if I go to, let me see, this guy, should be able to grab these. Where can I grab these at? Nope. The width and height, there you go. So you can do this and do a fill from one side, and there you go, you'd be able to change the amount. Okay, now with the tools, you're supposed to be able to do this. Let's see here. Supposed to be able to get it with this tool. Yeah, grab the side. There you go. So you can say, you know, level 1, level 2, whatever. So if you can programmatically change those things, and what I would recommend is make sure you go a full amount, like stop somewhere in between on those dividers. Don't stop midway, because that's not how Fortnite does it. If you're trying to mimic it exactly, I would stop in the middle there. So that's like 2, level 2. Okay? Very cool. All right. So that one we had to kind of go into 3D mode for that. No problem. And then the background object itself is just whatever background color you want for that. Okay? Very good. Next up is the Battle Pass label. So this is just that image saved out and positioned properly. Same thing with the standard pass label, and they look so good. Very happy with how those turned out. Next up is our current tier, is this guy up here. And he does have a couple of text objects, the word tier, and then the actual tier number. Happens to be 7 is what I came off of. So there you go. Now our size guide is an interesting object. This is that object that I showed you already, and this is how we're going to line everything up. So that's how everything's been lined up. So that brings us to the final bit here. Our rewards, page 1 and page 1 of A and B. So right now we're seeing A, and the A layout is to have the big fat tier 1, and then the B is to have the skinny tier. So if I go to A, and let's hide that, and here's B, so this is 8 tiers, and the math checks out that it goes all the way across. Now, again, in the next episode and the one after that, when we do the sliding back and forth, this will continue all the way to 100. And you'll be able to slide back and forth and see all these objects. And we'll talk about how to like fake a back-end system to say unlock and lock things, and don't worry about it. We'll get all that, so no worries. All right, so let's take a look at the actual rewards themselves. So rewards, we got a couple different things. So if we look at tier 1, and then every tier has this text object to label it. There you go. Then we have our minor rewards. And these are also prefabs, so you can just copy, paste, and put these wherever you want. So the breakdown of these is that we have the reward icon is the icon in the middle. You can make this whatever you want, whatever images you happen to have on your system, anything, you know. So I've got a whole bunch of RPG looking icons and, you know, guns and crazy stuff. So let's just pick something, you know, like there you go, I could change it, you know, change it to whatever you like. Then we have this object called locked unlocked, and it's positioned up in the corner here, and it's not both images because you don't need 2 images. That's wasteful. You only need 1. And this is the locked state. So based upon the state, you would change this icon out. So if you want to unlock this icon, I would just drag and drop the unlock icon in there. And there you go. So that's how the minor rewards work. That's how the major rewards work too. But these two minor rewards here. So let's talk about tier 2. So starting with tier 2, and tier 1 has the same thing. I just didn't do that as an example because it's a bit more complex. But if you follow the placement guides, you'll be all set, which are right here, by the way, these placement guides. We'll talk about those in a second. So tier 2, we want to set up the different placements. So here, I'll put it in place. I'll change out with the placement guide. So you can see the different placements here. So combo 1 for tier 2 would be just to have a minor reward up here. And so that's the placement for that. All right. Combo 2 would be to have a major reward in place. So as you can see, that fills that whole space. And again, this major reward works the same way as the minor. This one, I did happen to leave the image as the wrong image, but that's okay. So you can see here, this is Battle Pass Major Reward Guide. So we actually want to change that to just Battle Pass Major Reward. There you go. So that's combo 2. Combo 3, we start looking at the bottom half. So one of the options here is to have 2 minor rewards. Then combo 4, we can look at that. We can have a major reward. You can also have a minor reward at the same time, which I think is combo 5. Yeah, is a major reward and a minor reward at the same time. So there you go. Now, technically these should and would be locked at the moment because they are down here. And this, you would have to put the locked icon here as well. So those come as their own 2 separate images, and they're 34 by 34. So we wanted to add those to, say, our Battle Pass label, which is this guy right here. We could do that very easily. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and say UI raw image and say Battle Pass locked state, right? Which one is it? And it's 34 by 34. And we can put it wherever we would like. So just somewhere up in the corner here. Something like that is good. Then we can say currently it is locked. Boom. There you go. So then this is the kind of thing we'll do next time with the coding and all that, but we'll check the different statuses and set all of that up. But here's everything you could possibly need. Now we just added this object, and as you can see, it's a different color than everything else because I need to go up here now and apply to update the whole prefab. So now what I will do for you guys is, here's the whole folder structure here, right? So again, the PSDs are all in this folder. In this folder are all the images that you've seen me use here. Here's the placement guides. You can just swap them out for the normal object, and there you go. Same thing with these. Placement guide. On your own accord, everything is all lined up here for you already. So if you just use the prefab, it's all lined up. And I will give you guys the prefab here. So all you have to do is bring in all the multiple prefabs. Sorry. Bring in all of your images, select them all, make sure you set them to Sprite 2D UI, make sure you set them the filter mode here to point, and turn off compression, click apply. Then bring in these 3 prefabs, then do a new scene and just drag and drop this prefab into the scene, and boom, you should have exactly this, okay? And exactly this right now as you see it because I just saved it, so I'm not going to save it anymore, this will be what you see. So there you go, guys. I hope you've enjoyed very much. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you guys sticking with me. We've got this to finish out. We've got a couple more major big projects coming. So I want to make a quick announcement about the Battle Royale stuff. So this will be the last major component that we're going to do as videos. And I know there's a couple of things people are saying, oh, well, what about jumping out of the plane? What about, you know, the plane path needs to be fixing? All of that is in work, and all of that is almost done. But my partner and I have decided, you know what, we're just going to finish them as assets on the store and get our kind of feet wet into that realm as well. So those, will make a huge announcement when those are ready. But the first part of that should be coming end of the month, if all goes well. So we'll be pushing that out for you guys, and you will have all of that coming very soon. So we're going to finish up with the Battle Royale stuff here with the Battle Pass and teach you guys how to do all of this. And then after that, we're going to just wrap everything else up as assets, put them out on the store, let everybody get a chance to play with them, and then we're moving on to some other projects that are big and bold and some crazy stuff coming your way. So thank you so much for sticking with it. I appreciate your time very much. Thank you for liking, subscribing, sharing, all the questions, the huge community in the Discord. It really means a lot to me. So until next time, guys, keep practicing, get better, and I'll see you next time as the pilgrimage continues.